Hi, welcome to Warrior Commission Now, where we talk about practical ways to live out your commission. My name is Christine Caston.
And I'm Sharon Rudolph.
And Sharon and I are talking about a different topic than what we've talked about before, and it's the idea of transitioning from mentor to friend. A lot of times in our experiences, we have a lot of people who come into our community. They're looking for mentors. They're looking for ways to grow and develop. And of course, we team mentor, so we have a little bit different approach to what mentoring looks like. But the thing that really is, I think, key from being a mentor, kind of a key perspective to have, is that you don't want to be their mentor forever. You don't want to always be in kind of this top-down relationship. You want to actually help them transition into what it looks like to be friends. And there are multiple reasons for that. But when you mentor, sometimes people equate that to being like a parent.
Right.
And so there's a difference between parenting, if you will, someone who's a young child versus an adult child. And so, Sharon, let's talk a little bit about mentoring and that transition from mentor to friend.
Yeah. Well, from a mentor perspective, you have to be willing to give them opportunities and risks to grow up, right? And as the person being mentored, you have to be willing to step into the responsibility of growing up. You have to embrace what's there, because we do have to choose to grow up. We do have to choose.
It is a choice.
Growing up is a choice. And yes, I'm going to learn to take care of myself. I'm going to learn to walk in this responsibility. And I think as a mentor, it's been fun helping people see the joy of stepping into the responsibility and the possibilities for your own life when you do step in to the responsibility. And there's always going to be positives and negatives, right? But I definitely think the growing up option is better. And some of my good friends now were mentors at one time. Yeah. And I would hate to think that we were still stuck in this, and right. And we weren't able to link arms and do this together, from the same perspective.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I think, when you're in a place where you are, honestly, the part of my journey was about being a mentor for people. People ask for me to help them with that process. And in the process of my own journey, I don't really want to be a mentor for people. I really want to relationally walk along with them. And I think part of that is because I see that there's so much more freedom in their own lives when our relationship is more this than this. There's something about that hierarchy that's limiting. And there's something about what can actually happen together as you walk together, as opposed to walking in someone's shadow. And
right.
And so when you have this shift where you're walking alongside together, then it becomes, it's not that you don't still gain from what each of you bring, but I think when you have this kind of a mindset, part of what the mentor actually does is they move into a place of being more humble, because it shifts your thinking from what I can give this person to what can we learn from each other? How can we support and develop each other? How can we grow together? And that doesn't negate what you bring to the table, and it doesn't negate the wisdom or the experiences that you've gone through that you may carry into that relationship, but it also brings freedom for the experiences that the other person brings into the relationship too, and gives them a place to pour into you as well. And I think that receiving, that preferring one to another, it's a biblical thing, I think. Right.
And there's something that is so valuable about the vulnerability and humility in this. Where oftentimes in this, there's a lot more that's segregated or separated. And yet when you're walking as friends, at times it is more risky and it is more vulnerable in that space. And yet it has the potential to be so much more productive and in a sense, safe, right? This has a lot of performance in it, and this does not. This is about us loving each other well, and being willing to practice loving one another well.
And I like that you brought that out, because that whole, there's something about if I'm thinking of myself as higher than somebody, there's a mental state you step into that is self-protective, because you automatically need to, quote, protect your space, and you need to be in that place of not necessarily being as real or as vulnerable, because you're here and you have this, you're making this covering for this person. So all of a sudden you have all this extra obligation that becomes part of the relationship, that changes the dynamics of the relationship. And when you can actually see that it's more about what is journey together and life together, then all of a sudden you can be real and you can be authentic. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to pull this great wisdom and revelation. You can be honest. I really don't know. That's a great question. I really don't know that. Let's explore it together. And then it becomes something beautiful. That's a synergy that you both are able to step into a new place, as opposed to it being shut down because you didn't know that. So you just kind of change the subject or redirect it.
And I think when you look at the disciples and you look at how things are done in the Bible, and there's so much of the walking alongside that happens there. And that's really what we have with God now, in our partnership with Holy Spirit, in our friendship with Jesus, as we walk together. And it's so much more fun to model that and to live that way with the other human people we're interacting with, to be able to share every aspect. Whoa, the words are coming in my head really fast, and so I'm just going to slow down for a minute. So, and when you move into a place of this, there's so much more joy in that place, and it's so much more about kingdom alignment than who's in charge or who answers to whom. And the focus really does shift to, okay, what's on God's heart today? Not what are you going to teach me, or how do I get this right, or any of those kinds of things. It's about what's God up to today, and how do we partner together with him to see that happen. So it's worth the risk. It is so worth the risk.
Exactly. And I think that's why in the Warrior Commission, why we see so much transition in as God brings the transformation in people's lives. First of all, they have the freedom to transform as he's directing, not limited by, oh, well, I don't understand that, so we can't explore that, kind of thing. But this whole idea of, oh, God's taking you into transformation, and how can we transition now? What do we need to transition in our lives? And, oh, you have this revelation. Now I get to also share that revelation, and we get to move into this place together. And there's so much joy and there's so much excitement in what that is. It becomes a place of freedom and a place of launch. And there's no threat that so-and-so is going to build on my ceiling, kind of thing, and go further than I can, because yes, that will happen, but there's a synergy that comes with that, so that you're not stuck here, as a mentor, quote unquote, you're not stuck there, because you're now together, and their movement will launch you, will propel you almost like a slingshot, It's like, did you ever play that game as a kid where one person would stand and they would like pull someone around, and there would be this momentum, and then they would
Yeah.
stop and then they would pull you around. And it's kind of
Right.
like you end up having this tag team propelling into that new space. It's just this amazing place. So their momentum carries you, your momentum carries them, and it becomes this incredible ongoing building of momentum and forward progress in the Lord. You know
Yes.
what that looks like to have relationship with him and live a lifestyle,
Yes.
an exciting lifestyle, what we would say as a warrior in the Lord.
Right. So we want to encourage you guys to consider, are you the mentee or the mentor? And what might the Lord be doing in your life to get you to a place where you're able to link arms with equals in the kingdom? And are there ways that God would have you be more humble and to be on an equal plane? Or are there ways that God's calling you up to be mature and step into the responsibility? Those could be some fun conversations to have with Jesus about where are you and what he has next as you explore all the adventure of partnering with God to bring the kingdom to earth. So thanks for joining us today.
You guys have a great day. Bye.